want to explain some of the items that are here in the room for you. To my left is a box that we believe accurately depicts what's called the 52B V-Rod box that AT&T would place 300 to 400 of these in our community without even the slightest notion of local control. Local control for placement of boxes like this that is provided for under current laws and through franchising processes that are available today and that work very, very successfully. This is one of the specific things that we're trying to have a voice in, that the present bill will prevent us from being able to have that voice in. People don't want these things showing up in their backyards. They don't want them showing up on their street. These are very, very serious issues that our residents deal with. And the way the bill approaches this issue is that they take us out of the mix in terms of being able to work with the company, work with the residents where this type of box ought to be placed. To my right, up at the very top, very interesting questions raised about House Bill 1500, not about the bill, but about all the calls that legislators are receiving. And legislators throughout the state of Illinois are receiving phone calls, they're receiving faxes and postcards, and they're being asked by consumer groups to support House Bill 1500. All 7 of those consumer groups are created by AT&T. Not a single one of them is a legitimate, bona fide consumer group. They're all created by AT&T in order to gain support for House Bill 1500 and their plan to not have to go through a process that has worked for 60 years in the United States, local franchising rules. The particular exhibit that's in the middle here, Councilman, would you point it down, make sure everybody knows which one we're talking about. Put your hand on that one right there. There you go. Mike Peters is an employee of the city of Naperville, and the other day we asked him to work with Comcast, WOW, and AT&T to identify the boxes. And you can see the box to your far left, Comcast box. That's the cable box in the city of Naperville, about the size of a couple loaves of bread. The one in the middle, WOW, they get a little bit larger. They might be 6 or 7 loaves of bread. And that's the same employee lined up. He's 5 foot 10 inches. And now AT&T will bring the people in our neighborhoods without local regulation the box that you see to your far right on that exhibit. That is the box that AT&T will use. And Terry's here to describe it in detail if you have those questions about the details of that box. But he's here to explain it. We also have a number of other exhibits, including we have a discussion here, if you'd like to get into it, about pricing comparisons and whether or not competition lowers the price. We have found out in specific detail that, in fact, it does not. So to suggest that 1500 is going to lower prices for cable television for people throughout the state of Illinois is simply a red herring. It's not the case. Comcast specifically, and a lot of good Comcast people in the room, but let's pick on them for a minute. Comcast does not change the price for cable television based on the data that we have found when they're in a community where they compete versus a community where they don't compete. And it's a very important piece of data, and we throw that up there. Thank you, Dan. That is the consistent data that we have found throughout the state of Illinois, as well as Terry's experience and others' experiences with what Roger was saying in the committee today, along with Dave Bennett, that talking about, you know, where's the data that demonstrates that the prices will go down? The reality is it doesn't exist. It's now my honor to introduce Terry Miller, a city attorney with the city of Naperville. I think, quite frankly, Terry is the single most knowledgeable attorney in the state of Illinois on cable franchising and House Bill 1500. Gave a riveting testimony today in front of the committee, and so we're very excited. He's going to hit on a couple, 3 issues, then we're going to open it up for questions. Terry Miller.
That's a tough introduction to follow. I'd like to add my voice to former Attorney General Roland Burris' voice and the current Attorney General's voice in terms of opposing the passage of House Bill 1500 as it's written today. The problem with 1500 is that it changes the entire notion of what a public utility is. You close your eyes for a moment and you think about what a public utility is. It's things that we all need. There's an old saying, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So you think of public utility as water, which you can't live without, gas, electric. Well, cable's written originally as a utility, and it used the right-of-way for all consumers. Now, AT&T has come, and the 28th largest corporation in the Fortune 500 has said they can't do what a mom and pop grocery store can do. They can't negotiate a fair agreement. And they said they can't negotiate a fair agreement with municipalities. Now, they've come here in the form of House Bill 1500, and they said strip municipalities of the power to regulate us. That, in essence, is one of the most offensive statements you could think of, because the people who give you police protection, the people who give you fire protection, water and sewage, are being told that they can't be trusted to give you entertainment. And the basis for the reason why municipalities should be stripped of this power is competition. Not competition, really. Not fair competition, but the promise of competition. Competition that from AT&T has been made manifest nowhere in the country. And it's a risky bet on competition. You've seen these boxes here, and I describe them as 6-foot-tall boxes, but they're really described as 6-foot-tall electrified boxes that will be placed over water mains, electric lines, and gas lines. It came to our attention a couple months ago that one of these boxes blew up in Houston. We know that that is being investigated by AT&T, and before 1500 proceeds one day further, that investigation should be released, and we should all want to know what happened to that box in Houston. This is not about competition. This is about custodianship of the right-of-way. Municipalities are the first people and the last people you will call when there's a storm, when there's a fire, when there's an explosion in an electric box in front of your house. We should have the authority to regulate where these boxes go, and if they can go there at all. And most importantly, we should be able to demand assurances that they're safe. Now, I'm not saying that these boxes are unsafe. What I am saying is I don't know for sure that they are. And if there is an investigation that says these boxes are safe, I, for one, would like to see it before you place one more box in the public rights-of-way of Naperville. Thank you.